Hey folks, welcome to Your World with Prakash Kapila. So, from last time we met, there have been a lot of changes that have happened in past few weeks, past 2 weeks. So, I will be talking about things that affect your world, my world, and welcome to Your World with Prakash Kapila. So, the topic, the agenda of this show right now is China, right? So wherever you are, whoever you are, China is affecting you. Whether you are in Africa, whether you're in America, Europe, or Asia Pacific region, definitely China is one that you have to be cognizant of. You have to be aware of. It affects your lifestyle. It affects your life. It affects your future, and it has played an important role in past 20 years in your economic activity or in your economic lifestyle. But right now, China is flexing its muscles, or so it seems. But we will go into the details. So this topic right now is the exclusively dealing with India and China conflict, and what are the options that India has against China, and how can India win with China. So this is totally biased towards India, and this takes into the minute details that many of the analysts may have not observed. To give a full disclosure, I am not a military guy. I don't have any military experience, nor am I a military analyst. So this is a pure analysis done by a common person who has been doing analysis and who has been creating solutions for past 20 years in IT. So I'm basically an IT guy. But I do have an interest in helping India, and I do have interest in India's future and prosperity. So this video is exclusively going into the details of how India can win the standoff between itself and China. So before even you can go into into how we can win, first thing is China is not a small country. It's a very, very big country. It is very powerful country. It has a lot of military acumen. It has a lot of war knowledge, because China basically. So let's go into the details of how China has evolved over a period of time, so that we can understand what is China, and then we can think about why China is doing what it is doing, and how to overcome the pressure that is put on India, right? So right now, how over a period of time, China China and India have been like neighbors for like 2000 years as a country. Even though India was like princely states, divided into multiple regions, every place was called as Bharata or Jambu Dvipa, Bharata Varshe, Bharata Kande. That's what they used to say. They will say. So in China also, it is like that. There were warring factions. There were like three or four different provincials that were constantly at war. And out of that provinces, there was a Quin, Qin Empire, that started progressing by occupying other territories and imposing their language over other um, provinces. So there was what it enabled was there is one language, Cantonese. I mean, two languages. It evolved into just two languages from around 50 to 60 languages. It came into two languages, and those two languages are Cantonese and Mandarin. And right now, there is Mandarin only mostly is used. There is modern version of Mandarin, and there is a older version of Mandarin. So to give a brief, the whole provinces that were there were occupied by Qin Empire, and slowly the occupation started, and they created a huge empire called China. Slowly it became into China. So later on, what happened was China again disintegrated into uh, small country status. That is, the economically it was very weak, and it was having internal strife all over. So Japan invaded China, and it was able to take care of a lot. It was able to take out a lot of Chinese provinces under its belt during 1945, 1935 to 1945 time frame. So in that time frame, most of the China was with Japan, and the Second World War started. And after the Second World War, Japan had to secede the regions that were conquered by itself. So the China is not a monolith country. It is a very big country. It's a very huge country, very culturally diverse country. But one thing is, uh, China was always on war. I mean, it used to war with everybody, almost everybody. It has war with Japan, it has war with Taiwan, it has war with Tibet, it has war with Korea, it has war with Russia, it has a war with, of course, Mongolia. And so it is in constant flux of wars, basically. So they are very, very well versed in the war theory. They understand war much more than it's a warring country. Basically, they understand war a lot. So they use those warring principles in business as well, and therefore they have become very big and very scaled very highly. So one-on-one comparison of military strengths of India and China, you would see that China is like, in all aspects, China is at least 2 or 3 times more in the tools, the machines, the people, not the tools, machines, and the army and the police put together. It will be uh, very huge. It spends around $250 billion in its budget for defense, whereas India spends on 60 billion. So what is that going to describe? That is going to tell you the amount of money the defense has to spend on its upgradation or buying new weapons and all those things. So, having said that, China's weaponry, they have published that their weaponry is very great, but but the scientists and people who are well versed with these weaponries say that they are not super standard, they are substandard. On the other hand, India has lesser weapons, but Indian engineers and Indian scientists have developed these weapons very super standard, I should say, because Trishul is right around 95, 96 itself. It was supersonic speed. So right now, Chinese have come with supersonic speed, but Trishul was developed around 1995 into a supersonic weapon. We have surface to surface, surface to air to air systems that are that will be a very huge in play. So if you look at the whole thing, why is China trying to impose its will on others? It's a warcraft. It's called statecraft also. So first, before China tries to impose its will, it tries to make friendship with that country's head. So in Modi and Xi Jinping have met for 18 times, close to, in various this thing. So Modi could not get to know that the China has these problems and it wants to occupy something. Definitely, China wants to occupy a piece of land. That's a known thing. But why does it want to do it is what people are very jinxed up. So if you take a look, India and China went to war at 1962, where India lost Aksai Chin, right? And then in 1967, they wanted to usurp a little bit of Arunachal Pradesh and Sikkim in near Nathula Pass, right? So at that time, Indian forces were very quick and they repelled the attack. So India won that war. 1967, India won war against China in Nathula Pass. So what really happened there, right? So Chinese incursion. This is our porous borders, right? Like this. So the Chinese incursion happened like this. So the Indian army went little bit over China, little bit over the border, occupied the heights, and then it hit on the Chinese backbone. So the people who were already inside the line across the border, they had to flee. So when the army flees, it has its momentum is down. So therefore, it had to go back, and also the casualties were very high. So Indian soldiers, around 50 people of Indian soldiers died, and in China, Chinese soldiers, there were like 800, 400 is the official figure that people say in YouTube and all those things, but close to 800 people is the unofficial figure. 800 to 900 people died in that Nathula Pass. Chinese soldiers have died. So that created a huge peace zone. After that, after the Nathula Pass war, what happened is Chinese agreed not to carry any weapons, and India also said that we are not going to carry any weapons, and therefore there have not been any weapons or bullets exchanged or anything. That's why it's a very peaceful border from 1967 onwards, 1967 to recently 2016 or 2018, where the Doklam has happened. Uh, so this huge span of time, did was China peaceful? No. It did war, South Korea, North Korea war, it was there. It invaded Vietnam. It invaded a little bit of Taiwan. And it's constantly pressurizing the countries that are in the South China Sea. So it has captured lot of islands in the South Asia region, small islands. So if you see, if China is like this, right, and India is here, so China built a system of naval and other bases around India, and there is a belt road going over the top of LAC. So that belt road is the moot question when it comes to their aggressiveness. Now, what they did is there is a belt road going from our Aksai Chin, Kashmir, Pakistan, Pakistan occupied Kashmir and Pakistan, like that. So it's very near on both the sides. On both the sides of this belt road, India is like this. So it has gone. The belt road is going like that, right? So they want to secure that belt road, and we don't want that belt road. Basically, it is going to be very difficult for our troops, and in the eventuality of something happens, then you're surrounded. But India has got a strategic advantage of Siachen, where we are constantly able to maintain a force. So all Indian troops, whether it's Bihar regiment, Rajputana regiment, or any other regiment, they have a stint in the Siachen. So every soldier, I must say, has gone to Siachen and come back. So this area is well versed for almost all the soldiers. That you can safely say. So why is this important? This is important because when the China wants to come into it, the Chinese are not well versed with the surrounding areas of Siachen and others, because it's very tough to maintain the bases, and they have not that many bases. For India, it is compulsion because we have Pakistan and we have China on the either side. We had to maintain that. So the other thing is China is very huge. The landmass is very huge for China. So to put all the troops in India-China border will actually expose China into the other enemies that it has, like Vietnam, Japan, Taiwan, Hong Kong. So all of these things, and Mongolia on the other side, and Russia is on the top of it. So they cannot take out all the troops, and therefore, even though the troops are more, even though China has got a lot of uh, army and tools and weapons, it cannot take all of those tools to the border. That's number one. Okay, so when it takes like that, then all of the other regions will go, and Beijing is exactly on the top. So nobody would take out the forces near the capital and push it downwards. That's like a very stupid move, and also it will expose itself to all the other external forces. So China has always been in the uh, news of nudging its neighbors. There have been few countries that have um, thwarted that. Singapore, it's a very small state, but China wanted to dominate Singapore. But Singapore said Singapore actually expelled a lot of Chinese also. So whoever China sent to Singapore, they made them into their locals, and they started saying, we don't want to be along with China. So Singapore was, even though it was a very small, it didn't have army, it didn't have any of the military stuff, it is able to avert Chinese influence on it. In fact, Singapore has more influence on China than China having influence on Singapore. The other country that has thwarted China is Taiwan. Even though Taiwan is Chinese consider Taiwan as part of its own region, Taiwan has always said that it is not going to listen to them. So militarily, Taiwan is nothing compared to China, but still it is able to not, fend off the Chinese aggression. The other country that, even though is very small, but able to maintain China, is South Korea. South Korea and North Korea were fighting, so China helped North Korea, but still the China and US both helped North Korea. China and the Soviet Union both helped North Korea, but still US and other countries intervened, and South Korea is able to establish its independence. So there have been very very huge examples where the armies were small, the establishments were small, economically weak, but still they were able to win wars. If you go to even in olden days, there have been few victories taken out by very small armies comparatively. So one such thing was Battle of Marathon, right? In Battle of Marathon, the Greeks only had 10,000 soldiers, whereas Persians were 60,000. They had more tools, they had more people, they had more resources, but still this 10,000 troop uh, Athenians, Greeks, were able to fend, not only fend off, not only stop the aggression, but also drive them away. So why, how can they do it? How is a small army able to take out a big army? How is this possible? So what did the Athenians do is, they when they were small, they just divided their forces into multiple things, whereas the middle and the flank, right? So the middle went to this big force, and this big force started to occupy this middle, right? You see this one. Then these three, the flanks, they started attacking from the outside. So from the inside the attack happened, from the outside attack happened. So from all the sides, instead of the big army capturing all these things, the big army could only capture the middle, and the other flanks, you see these two are flanks, right? They were able to capture, they were able to come out of the circle of death, zone of death, and then they were able to create the push. So when a big army is attacked from multiple sides, there will be a push within itself, right? Each person wants to run away, and then there will be a lot of commotion and things will go astray. So that's how they won. So obviously, as I told you, China has a lot of military tactics. So we cannot use the same tactics that someone else has used. But what is important to note is, number one, China cannot bring all the troops to the border. India can. For India, Delhi and Kashmir are very close. So India can bring all the troops from the south and put it in the Himalayan region, whereas China cannot do it. So that is a big advantage India has. So the number two advantage is, for any country to invade another country, you need double the force. But if you see, the deployments of China have not been that much. They're not even close to how much we have. So what it means is, it just wants to nudge the country into some kind of economic depression and uh, and military subjugation, so that it can have more say in these economic activities, mainly the Silk Road as well as the Sea Road. But in that, there is two things. Militarily, we are in an upper hand with respect to China, with respect to the line of control. We don't want to go out of the line of control. We don't want to occupy China. But if China wants to occupy, then it has to increase the number of troops 10 times, which it cannot do. Even if it does that much, then Taiwan, Japan, and others will take this as an opportunity and will take off some things. And also, it has nuclear weapons. India will not use nuclear weapons, and China will not use nuclear weapons. So that is out of question from both the sides, because both of them are not stupids. They know that nuclear force can only be used for energy, but not for war. It's stupidity. The whole world will coalesce among the aggressor, and it becomes very difficult, no matter how much nuclear weapons you have. So the other thing China is going to do is have chemical weapons and biological weapons, but they have to come all the way from the strategic locations they have to the border. And with COVID, so much of pandemic scare, a lot of Chinese army will not be in a position, will not be motivated to actually attack anything. Having said that, they are very smart. So if you look into the videos that are running, you would see that the commander is talking to the commander, to the equivalent person, but whereas the other soldiers are picking out the stones and throwing it away. So this is this is more like, okay, good cop bad cop kind of thing, where the guy is trying to you know, have a conversation, whereas the other guys are doing things that they like. So that is a plan that they have evolved. Okay. It shows that we can do things that are not just command and control. So in army, you have this command and control, where the officer says something and the subordinates follow. So they are creating a illusion that we are not in a command control fashion. We are independently doing things. But in reality, that is not the case. Nobody in China can actually take decisions by their own. So even if the general says, you know, I will tell, even if the general will be talking nicely, but the plan is actually made somewhere else, and soldiers are given strict detailed plan of what they need to do while someone is doing this. So this, I am sure Indian army knows about it. So the other thing that Indian army needs to get is basically how to win this, right? So this is not an attacking force. This is not a invasion force. It's not a force of invasion. It cannot have force of invasion. So when the attack happens, if the attack happens, then it has to be drastic, it has to be surprise, and it has to have the element of uh, destruction written on it, and without having a lot of casualties on our side. So one good thing Indian Army has done is to give freedom to the commanders in the operation theater. Now, what I would request all those commanders is to devise your own plan, devise your own war strategy, devise your own theory, and devise your own attack mode, so that when the skirmish will happen, it will be a skirmish. It will not be a full-scale war. It will be a skirmish, and the skirmish, when the skirmishes happen, you need to quickly gain the upper ground, so that upper ground in the sense control on the battlefield. So as then you will be in a position to avert the war. If you don't gain control over the battlefield, then war will happen, because China is going to see it as a opening and it will start pushing. So if you don't give any opening, and the initial push that happens, initial skirmish that happens, turns out very disadvantageous to them, then their motivation will start coming down for these soldiers. And once the soldiers are demotivated, no matter what you have, you're going to lose the war. So I suggest all the commanders to first get your army, your soldiers highly motivated. And the second thing is to demotivate the Chinese soldiers, right? The other thing that you could tell is, the government is behind us even if you die, but China will not care even if you die. So that kind of propaganda could be used. So having said that, hope you enjoyed my suggestions, or hope you liked my suggestions. And until then, goodbye and good luck. Keep watching Your World with Prakash Kapila. Thank you.